Hello and welcome to another edition of WION World of Cricket. It's India versus New Zealand, and although it may seem like a dead rubber, there is a lot riding on this clash. And to preview this match, I'm Vidur Kathuria, and as always, I'm joined by my colleague Nikhil Mathur. Nikhil, not exactly a dead rubber?
Yeah, exactly. You are basically going to play to decide which team you're going to face in the semi-final. So if India wins the match, they will face Australia, and if they lose, they are going to face South Africa, and vice versa for the New Zealand. So a lot riding on the stake. Vidur, who do you think would India want to face, Australia or South Africa?
Well, that's the interesting thing. You know, always when you are in an ICC tournament, there is always a sort of standard that you set a team to. But the thing is that so less cricket has been played in this tournament. How many matches have Australia and South Africa played?
I think the main, main match between South Africa and Australia was washed out. So you really can't pick which team is better in terms of the performances that they have shown in this tournament.
So exactly. So Australia, before the tournament, everyone thought that they are coming with their B team.
Yeah.
So, but again, they're Australia in a major tournament, and they've proven that once again. And to face them in the semi-final, I mean, it really would not be, I would say, something that India would prefer. But it's the semi-final. It's two matches. Either you will face South Africa or Australia. So I would think that, to be honest with you, it won't make much of a difference, because South Africa once again have proven that they're a very strong side. So I don't think, you know, India will have any preference. But it's about testing their best bench strength. So I think it's a chance for India to have a matchup against a quality team.
Yeah.
Because India have not faced a quality team. Let's be honest, Bangladesh and Pakistan aren't the
Burn
best
for
sides
Pakistan
at the
fans
moment.
there. I think they would also admit, that
I think
they haven't been.
It's important for India to test their bench strength and really test their mettle against a top quality side.
And I think for India, I think it's a really similar script that has been followed. Hopefully not in the final, because the four teams which reached the semi-final of the ODI World Cup in 2023, the same: South Africa, Australia, India, New Zealand. And India was looking perfect in that World Cup until the final. They have been looking perfect here now. So similar script. Hopefully for India, they want a different result in the final if they reach so. But yeah, as Vidur pointed out, you know, the teams, the most of the matches were washed out. The South Africa versus Australia match, which everyone was looking forward to, got washed out. So probably, and I think this is a good test for India, not just to test their bench strength, but I think India-New Zealand is, I think, a modern-day rivalry. I would put it above India and Pakistan in terms of the competition that they have had in recent times. You know, New Zealand was for long India's bogey team in ICC tournaments until they defeated them in the 2023 ODI World Cup. Then they came to India in test matches, and Tom Latham's New Zealand whitewashed India in test matches. That was one of the headlines which no one thought we would write ever. So I think this is a budding rivalry, you know, and as I said, I rate it more than India-Pakistan because the matches have been close. In fact, in just ICC tournaments, New Zealand lead India by, I think it's 6-5. So plenty of riding on this match, and not just in terms of which team you're going to face in the semi-final, but as Vidur pointed out, the bench strength. And New Zealand have been, in this group, India and New Zealand have been the best team. So kind of a good match to see who tops the group.
Well, absolutely. And the news from the middle is that New Zealand have won the toss and they have opted to field first in Dubai. That means India will bat first, and once again India lose the toss. I think this is now a record.
12th, 13th time.
You know, India have lost the toss, but that's what we have seen in Dubai. That teams have teams have won the toss and opted to bat first. So a little, you know, going away from what has been normally happened. But I think once again this is also a chance for New Zealand to test. Once again, New Zealand have also not been tested in the two matches. They have won them comfortably against Bangladesh and Pakistan. So, and you know, it's an ICC tournament. They have done well in the past against India. So I think New Zealand can be seen as one of the contenders to go all the way and win the title.
Definitely. I think they have reached the semi-finals of all ICC tournaments in last decade, if I'm not wrong. So they have been known to make these, you know, deep runs in the tournament. A few changes for them. I think Daryl Mitchell comes in, Devon Conway misses out, who was also in good form, and India has also made one change. Harshit Rana has been rested, and Varun Chakravarti, the mystery spinner, is in the side. So we were thinking that India would give chance to Rishabh Pant, maybe, Rohit. There were reports about injury to Rohit Sharma, but KL Rahul cleared all those in the press conference that everyone is fit, and we were thinking that Rishabh Pant might get a look in, but clearly not. Varun Chakravarti, the mystery spinner, has been no more a mystery, but he still picks up wicket and has been good in the England series that India played before this Champions Trophy. So yeah, good matchup on the cards.
Well, absolutely. And I think what we discussed, that how this is not a dead rubber, I think both teams have approached it that way as well. If you look at the teams, this is not, of course, you would want all the players. Here we have India's 11. So Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill top, and of course Virat Kohli. So no changes in the batters there. Akshar Patel obviously has also been playing, KL Rahul, Hardik Pandya. So this is very much a strong Indian 11.
Kuldeep, and everyone has made runs. As I was saying, I was pointing out to the ODI World Cup. Everyone was firing. Rohit Sharma has scored some runs. Gill has scored that century. Virat Kohli would be playing his 300th match. I think in terms of the active players, I think that is the maximum that anyone has played, 300 ODI. So, and Kohli has this habit. If I remember correctly, in his 200th ODI, he scored a century. So maybe back-to-back hundreds for Kohli. Would that be possible? We will have to wait and see.
51 ODI centuries in 300 matches played. That is quite a remarkable achievement.
Yeah, so I think the batting lineup looks settled. In fact, the bowling also pretty much settled in terms of Varun Chakravarti coming in, giving you an extra edge. It's a slow turning track, will be very helpful.
Once again, speaking about the track, I think India have gotten used to the conditions in Dubai. There is this joke that is going around that India are actually the hosts of the Champions Trophy because they are so familiar with the conditions in Dubai, and every team has to travel to Dubai to face India. In fact, coming to that, both South Africa and Australia, interestingly, are traveling to Dubai, even though we don't know yet which team will face who in the semi-final.
Yeah, I think
that is a huge advantage for India.
Yeah, advantage for India, no doubt. One of those teams will have to fly back to Pakistan, after today's result. But they were getting acclimatized to the climate in case one of them has to travel to Dubai. That is true. But I think this is going quite viral on social media. People are saying that hosts are the Pakistan, but the home advantage is with India. But I just want to clear one thing, they did not have much option. India did not want to travel to Pakistan for political reasons. Pakistan did not want the tournament to be held in Dubai. So the only option left was a hybrid model. So it's basically not just on India that this advantage is for them. ICC has to decide about it. And I think unless this hybrid model goes, teams will have disadvantage. Only advantage will be to India and Pakistan, because if you are going to play all your matches in the hybrid model in a single country, it is going to be difficult, but you just can't blame India. I think these questions should have been raised when the ODI World Cup happened. India plays their first 9 matches in different stadiums across from Delhi to Chennai, and let me tell our viewers, the distance from Delhi to Chennai is probably equal to what Pakistan or a Dubai, 2 or 3 hour flight and everything. And conditions are also different. So you could have raised that question during the ODI World Cup as well, but India played all of their matches on different venues, which are quite far. So valid argument there, but you possibly couldn't do much when the tournament started. It has to be decided in the first place, and if you are playing it in a hybrid model, then one team will have that advantage.
Okay, let's just remind our viewers of what exactly the scenarios are for this match. Remember, both teams have already made it to the semi-finals. There we have it. If India beats New Zealand, India will face Australia, who, remember, finished second in Group B. And that means that New Zealand will face South Africa, who, of course, topped the group. South Africa won 2 out of their 3 matches. 1 match was, of course, washed out against Australia. Now, if India lose to New Zealand, India will, of course, face South Africa, who topped the group, and it will be a Tasmanian rivalry for the semi-final. That will be Australia versus New Zealand. So, again, every matchup that will be there will be a top-class match. Of course, now we can also go through the New Zealand 11. Again, a very strong and formidable lineup, not very different from what we saw in the 2023 ODI World Cup.
Pretty much the same team. And in fact, Michael Bresswell, I think he's bowling really well. In terms of the dot ball percentage, he has bowled the maximum dot balls in the tournament. So he's been a bit of under radar, but has been very frugal with his spells. And along with Mitchell Santner, they have really, dried up the runs for the opposition. And Glenn Phillips, an all-rounder, he bowls, he bats, and will take one of the best catches in,
Absolutely.
keep on picking those. And I think this looks a very settled unit. I think like India has superstars like Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, but in New Zealand, everyone knows what their role is, and that has been their mantra. Will Young was decent in ODI World Cup as well. Daryl Mitchell has played crucial innings. Kane Williamson, always providing that solidarity. And Rachin Ravindra has been the star since that ODI World Cup. He is a swashbuckling batter who has taken, to take the aggressive route. I think both teams are pretty different. India full of superstars, but New Zealand, there's not much competition for the places, but they look like a well-settled union. Every player knows what their role is.
Very much so. And also we keep talking about spinners, how many spinners India have and the strength that India has. But if you look at the New Zealand lineup, they have also got a number of spinners who can make a difference, and all-rounders as well. Rachin Ravindra, he is one of the star batters, if you would say, in the last few years. He really had a breakthrough 2023 ODI World Cup, but he can also contribute with the ball. Glenn Phillips, as you mentioned, a proper all-rounder. Mitchell Santner, the captain now, he is a very experienced spinner. And of course, Michael Bracewell, who has been their best spinner in the Champions Trophy. So again, this could be a battle of the spinners. And something that we haven't discussed till now is how these two teams can meet in the final as well. So again, we have the team. So very strong team, Matt Henry and Kylie Jameson, of course, top quality pacers. So this is a very strong matchup, and undoubtedly the toughest test so far for both the teams.
Yeah, and in fact, New Zealand and India have faced each other in the Champions Trophy just once before this, and that goes way back to 25 years, and that was the final in 2000. And I was watching some highlights. In fact, Sourav Ganguly was the captain, scored a century, but Chris Keynes also scored a century, and I think New Zealand won by 4 wickets. So I think, and that was probably their first ICC title.
I unfortunately remember that match, and this is when I had just started watching cricket. Some viewers will get an idea about my age when I say this, but that was a heartbreaking moment for Indian fans. Chris Keynes absolutely took the game away, and this is an Indian team that is not the team that we see now. This was not one of the strongest sides in the world. So reaching the final of an ICC tournament was a very big deal. This was back in 2000. The tournament took place in Kenya. So
Nairobi was the final.
Yes, absolutely. And India had defeated Australia in the tournament. So it was and this is Australia who were world champions in 1999. So India had all the momentum, but then Chris Keynes single-handedly took the game
102
away.
not out.
Yeah, extraordinary innings. So that was when I think that it was John Wright who was the Indian coach. So and then they built that momentum, and of course eventually that similar team, or almost the same team, reached the final of the 2003 ODI World Cup. So there is history as well in the Champions Trophy. This is not a tournament that is a cricket fan thinks of as one of the top tournaments, but again, a lot of history there, an ICC knockout. So this is a tournament that can build momentum for teams going into the likes of the World Cup and T20 World Cups as well.
And winning a knockout tournament also shows that you have been best on every day, because you can't have a bad day. In terms of the ODI World Cup, we saw there was group stage, Super 8, knockouts, semi-final, final. But here, you can't have a bad day. So winning a knockout is not easy. Many would say it's luck. You need to be, be good on that day. But it also shows the courage and the fight that you are showing every day. And as Viduru pointed out, the growth of both the teams have been like pretty good. India peaked a bit earlier than New Zealand. The 2000 team that was under Sourav Ganguly's captaincy was starting to winning abroad, and they were starting to win ICC titles, reach the final of the 2003 World Cup. And New Zealand also, I remember that had a lot of all-rounder. Chris Keynes, Chris Harris, of course Stephen Fleming was there, Lou Vincent was there around. India was also similarly, Sachin was there. India had those players, but they were not winning. So I think both teams have gradually grown. I think India peaked earlier and then they won the World Cup and all. New Zealand, I think this is their best side or the best couple of years that New Zealand have been. They have been in and around of the top 3-4 teams. So, and I think a big chance for them after winning the World Test Championship. I think they can add another ICC title, especially in the white ball. Since 2000, they have not won any title. So it would be a crowning moment for them. This could be the tournament.
That was the last ICC title, white ball title that New Zealand have won. This is 25 years back. Yes. And it's so unfortunate that we speak of New Zealand as having not won a white ball title in a quarter of a century, because as you mentioned, they have always been in and around the semi-finals, finals. There has been heartbreak, which has been well documented. That is the 2019 ODI World Cup final. Unfortunately, for them, it comes to mind. Of course, in the T20 World Cup as well, 2021 T20 World Cup, they lost to Australia, reached the final of the 2023 ODI World Cup. In fact, in the 2024 T20 World Cup was the first time in a long time that they had not reached the semi-finals.
Yes.
So New Zealand are always competitive. And that is because they have a strong structure in their domestic cricket. They keep producing these gems, as we have seen in Rachin Ravindra, who had a breakthrough tournament at the 2023 ODI World Cup. So it's really a tribute to sort of the way New Zealand do things back home, that they are barely have probably 1% of the population that India have. I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but definitely.
And I think it's not the major. Cricket is not a major sport. I think rugby dominates the New Zealand sporting world more. But in cricket, definitely being up there, and as you said, a nation which doesn't have in terms of the population, but they always punch above their weight, and now I think they are among, not the big boys, but among title contenders always. But I think you need that crowning moment, and as Vidur pointed out, 25 years is a huge wait for a team like New Zealand that has been doing really well. I think they just need to cross that hurdle, and today will be a big test, and if they can carry the momentum, I think they can definitely go on and win their second ICC Champions Trophy.
Well, Nikhil, of course, this is a white ball tournament. It's the ODIs, but we have to talk about what happened a few months back in India in test matches. I think it's important to mention that, especially because of the nature of what happened and how it was such a shock to the entire cricketing world, what New Zealand achieved. So, of course, it's a different format, it's a different conditions, different venue. But really, it was quite remarkable how New Zealand showed up to India and whitewashed India in their backyard in Test cricket. What stands out from that series?
No, as I mentioned, no disrespect to anyone, but Tom Latham's New Zealand whitewashing India in Test matches, if you would have told me before that series, I would say that is not going to happen. That has never happened, and I was sure that this wouldn't happen. And when India lost the first match, we thought, okay, it's a blip. Yeah. Then second and then third, and they defeated them. They outplayed them in all departments. So I think that was a huge win, and that shows the caliber that New Zealand possesses. And as I said, there are no superstars in the team. Kane Williamson, of course, is a huge player, but everyone contributed.
He was missing in the series.
He wasn't there. That's what I'm saying. Tom Latham, New Zealand, Kane Williamson, their best batter in recent time, wasn't even there. And then also New Zealand was able to do something that Australia, Steve Waugh's Australia, Ricky Ponting's Australia, England, South Africa couldn't do in India, and they did it. So that speaks magnitude of the talent and the caliber that this team possesses. And as Vidur pointed out, different format, but that is definitely there.
That means that they have the confidence, regardless of which format they're playing. That teams believe that they can beat India at whatever stage in whatever tournament, and if it's a final, a match like this, which is a final group game. But New Zealand believe that they can beat India at any given point. So that series will definitely give them a huge confidence boost. And also, if we can take a look at the New Zealand 11 again, a lot of players are there from the series. Matt Henry was one of the premier pacers during that series. Tom Latham, as you mentioned. So this is a team that, of course, a lot of the players, Kane Williamson was missing, who has been their premier batter.
Will Young has been there. He has performed well since the ODI World Cup in 2023, be it test matches or anything. Tom Latham, he's ever there. And Glenn Phillips has been, he is a perfect player who contributes in every department. He can keep also, by the way.
Of course, how can we forget the captain, the premier spinner, who had an outstanding series, who was their real go-to spinner during the series, and of course Ajaz Patel, who is not in the squad, but
he comes for India tour.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's not part of the squad usually. But when it comes to India, Ajaz Patel would come. He would pick 10 wickets. He would click pictures with Ravindra Jadeja, and they would stand in line. Akshar Patel, Ajaz Patel, Ravindra Jadeja, that iconic picture. And then he just not vanishes. But I don't see him much often in the Test side.
Of course, he's not picked for their home Test series.
In fact, just the series after when he picked 10 wickets, he wasn't picked for the Test.
Yeah. So this is back in 2021, if I'm not wrong. So he took 10 wickets and then wasn't picked for the. How often does that happen? But that shows you the strength that New Zealand have in their reserves. They can call up a spinner like Ajaz Patel, who many believe is not even one of the best spinners in the world. But he can pick.
He's India specialist for New Zealand. If it's an India tour, the first name is Ajaz Patel.
But that just shows you that they have strength in depth, which is remarkable for a country like New Zealand.
And they know their roles. Like the recent New Zealand-India matches have all been close. In fact, in the ODI World Cup match, I think it was the semi-final, semi-final or quarter-final, India-New Zealand
World Cup.
2023 ODI World Cup.
The semi-final.
Semi-final.
In Mumbai.
I mean, the New Zealand were there in the chase till the very end. And I think towards the end, they couldn't finish with the flourish. Daryl Mitchell was there. So they have been close fights. That's what I'm talking about. I think India and New Zealand is the modern rivalry because they have been close finishes, New Zealand being the bogey team, then India defeating them in the ODI World Cup, New Zealand coming back and whitewashing India in Test. So if you look at the entire picture, there is a lot that is riding on this match. In terms of probably this tournament, it wouldn't mean much, but in the larger picture, this match would be remembered for a lot of other reasons as well.
And you mentioned the rivalry, and many moments come to mind. Virat Kohli, when did he get his 50th ODI century? Against New Zealand in that very semi-final at the 2023 ODI World Cup. Before that, at the 2019 ODI World Cup, which was the match which was MS Dhoni's final international appearance. That was against New Zealand in 2019. You still remember that run out where he could...
Martin Guptill picking up the ball and then a direct throw. And
Martin Guptill... That is probably his greatest moment or most memorable moment in international cricket, that is running out the great MS Dhoni. At least that's what Indian fans remember him for.
It left a scar on 1.3 billion people. I think that replay would still give heartbreak to a lot of Indians. And in fact, Mahendra Singh Dhoni, I think Dhoni is still, I'm pretty sure, still the fastest runner between the 22 yards. And a lot of people asked this question. He could have died. In fact, he also said in one of those interviews that why did I not dive? There were a lot of questions when you can look back because you don't see Mahendra Singh Dhoni getting run out. I remember, I think in his first match he got run out, and after that I rarely seen him getting run out, and that too at a crucial stage because Dhoni's game is to take the match deep. He would back himself in the 49th over, and then he famously said that if I have to chase 15 in the last over, the bowler also knows that MS Dhoni is on the strike, so that creates a lot of pressure on him. So that was his style, and that World Cup he was there, and India were somehow hanging in the game, and the nation was trusting MS Dhoni, and he was also trusting himself that he would take them over the line, but he couldn't drag his bat over the crease. And to 2019 heartbreak for India, and then a heartbreak for New Zealand in the final. So cricket is...
Well, it's there won't be any heartbreak in this match because both teams have made it to the semi-finals, but as we have discussed, a lot riding on it, and very important for both teams to test their mettle against a top side. Both teams have so far, let's be honest, without any disrespect to Bangladesh or Pakistan, both teams have not faced a top side yet. Well, Nikhil, it's time for your prediction. What is your prediction for this match?
I think India, because it's ODIs and India, everyone has been firing, and I think India.
I would agree with you. So far, India have ticked all their boxes. The biggest question mark was on Virat Kohli, especially before that last game against Pakistan. And if it's one thing that Indian fans wanted, it was Virat Kohli getting back in form. So far, that has happened. So, and the tick mark this time will be beating a top team before heading into the semi-finals. Well, hopefully, we get a cracker of a contest. Thank you very much, Nikhil, for your insights as always, and we will cover this match as well as the semi-finals next week only on WION World of Cricket. Thank you for watching.